up a seat at the bar to join us for another episode of McAnally's Pubcast, a podcast exploring the fun and fantastical mind of Jim Butcher's The Dresden Files series. Hosts Tanzan, Jess, and Maggie bring you another round of literary analysis on this immense, immersive, and colorful environment inhabited by Harry Dresden, the world's only licensed private investigator and professional wizard. Join an active and engaged community of new and die-hard dedicated fans focused on the fabulous themes, theories, characters, context, lore, and more. This is McAnally's Dresden Files Pubcast by Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk.
Welcome to McAnally's Pubcast, brought to you by Free Flow Rambling. This is episode 12.14, Love Killed the Dinosaurs, where we are covering the novel Blood Rites. My name is Tanzan, and I'm joined by Maggie.
Hello.
And Jess.
You know in some movies, how they have a dream sequence, only they don't tell you it's a dream? This is so not a dream.
Thank you to our Patreon subscribers for your generous support. It's people like you who help us do what we do. If you're not yet a Patreon subscriber, sign up today and get a fuck ton of bonus content, kick-ass merch, behind-the-scenes outtakes, and more. Sign up today at patreon.com/freeflowrambling. Chapter 20. Dresden awakens in the Raith household. Thomas and Harry have a difficult meeting, and Harry decides he wants to leave. As he's preparing to go, Inari is triggered into trying to use Harry as her first feeding, but is protected by Susan's love. Harry works through his anger and is able to have a proper talk where Harry learns him and Thomas have something in common. The chapter starts with the saddest description of little Harry being excited for special days that are clearly going to be later sources of pain for him.
Oh!
I'm like, oh god.
Just terrible premonition.
I think he sums it up very nicely. My little voice is some kind of psycho.
Right, so Harry goes on to start this chapter mentioning how he's got a couple of moments in his life when he has woken up and just absolutely known today is going to be a day. Some way, somehow.
Most of us have experienced in some form or another.
Not me. I don't think I've ever woken up and thought, oh, today will be different than all other days.
No, but that you're expecting it to be a special day.
Okay, maybe for birthdays and Christmas and things, yeah, you're like, oh, today's better than all other days.
But I didn't say that the day was going to be. He's like, that today is a special day. Like, exactly, most of us waking up on Christmas morning, you're like, oh, there's going to be presents and stuff, or, you know.
Maybe in that way, but I wouldn't consider that special. That's expected specialness. Yeah, Christmas is fun when you're a kid. It's just, as an adult, though, I've worked most Christmases of my adult life.
That's service industry.
I guess. I mean, maybe. I took it more as that, exactly that. Whether it is or not. But again, most of us, especially as kids, like Christmas, you're like, oh, there's going to be something special about it because it's Christmas. And
I'm going on a cruise today. I'm flying to Europe.
Right? You did that.
You felt special when you didn't tell your family and went to New York and then posted pictures of it?
Yeah, right? Was there no little...
That was a special day.
Where's your little psycho voice that told you to do that?
I get what you're saying, but to me, that's not a premonition. That's just, I planned all those things. I knew it was going to be Christmas. I knew it was going to be my birthday. I knew I was going to New York or Europe or wherever the fuck I went. I didn't have this little voice be like, oh my God, you don't know it yet, but it's going to be really special. I've never woken up and been like, had a gut feeling. I don't know why, but today it's going to be different.
I guess it's sort of half and half. Like, yeah, he is saying that there's sort of... Because part of me was always just the way he says it. Again, he's like that today's a special day. Like for a lot of kids, it happens on like birthdays or Christmas, right? But I'm like, yeah, I guess he's saying sort of an extra level to that. Yeah, it wasn't every Christmas, but this one particular Christmas when his dad was still around, or the day that, But yeah, I guess sort of maybe.
I just don't have gut feelings and just take life as it comes.
I don't know if I've had a lot of premonition, but I guess I definitely have times when I have anticipated things or again get excited about
anticipation. Absolutely, I've definitely been excited for things and been like, oh my God, how can I even sleep? This is going to be awesome or whatever. I just don't think there's anything that's like outside of my own expectations of the day. It's been like, hey, he's going to be a day.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you're looking at it purely from like a premonition sort of
way, then no. But
which I probably took it a little less than.
yeah, I think I took it a little bit more. Just again that oh my god, today's gonna be like so awesome, or there's like just some little feeling that something special is gonna. You just don't know exactly what or how that's gonna play out in the end.
I can see your point, Jess, when you're looking at it from that point of view, where it's just like, no, I don't think I've ever looking at it from that point of view. I don't think I've ever like woken up and been like, something magical is gonna happen today. Woo!
Yes, yeah, no.
If anything, it's more anxious. Sometimes you're just filled with anxiety. You can't explain. You're like, hey, what's going on? Why am I so anxious?
Oh, that I get a lot. That I know.
That one I would understand that a lot. There's been times when I've been like, where is this coming from? I feel horrible. What is? I must have just read or seen something that just
is
made me
that
feel
thing
awful.
that other people interpret as that?
Does other people read it as a good feeling?
What does it like to be healthy?
I don't know. It's like, it's just like finding out like that whole thing with like astigmatism, that those rings around lights I see, like not everybody sees that. Oh, that's a defect in my vision. Oh, yeah, shit like that, right? I'm like, okay, now I know.
That's also finding out people don't picture a movie when they read. Like,
Yeah.
wait, what? No wonder you don't like doing it.
Right? What was it? Oh, just read. Oh, Kenzie. It was really funny talking with my other daughter the other day, and I forget how we came across it, but talking about, anyway, she watches a lot of like YouTube videos and things like that, and I don't. Me and Jess watch like TV shows and Critical Role, read our books and stuff like that, right? And Kenzie watches more real life things. And I've always had much less tolerance for that. I can get an episode or two of like Jerry Springer, and then I'm like, okay, I'm good again for a year or something like that, you know? And reality shows, same thing. There's not very many of them that I can tolerate for very long. And so this was really interesting because apparently Jessica and Mackenzie were talking, and because Mackenzie's been going through some of this anxiety and having trouble sleeping and blah, 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 right? And Jessica's like, well, this is why me and Mom read our books and listen to our stories. And she's like, yeah, but that just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I don't get it. And Jessica's like, well, we don't get why you read all like this real life stuff or whatever, right? Which is this very interesting conversation. Apparently how it went, I don't know exactly, but the way Jessica explained.
I don't remember it.
Well, because I had to amend it slightly because she's like, you and Jessica basically live in this fantasy world. She's like, I like to live in the real world. And it was just at first I'm like, okay, I do know what reality is, right? Like I don't. It was just like the way she was talking about it first made it just be like, we just completely ignore reality. We just make up our own. Like
That's not entirely untrue.
it's not entirely untrue. But at the same time, I was like, okay, I do know the difference between like reality and fantasy, right? She's like, oh, well, yeah, I don't. But it was like literally like this whole thing. She's like, that's what me and Mom do to cope with things. We just live in our fantasy worlds. And I'm like, okay, yes, but we take refuge in. I don't live there.
Speak for yourself. I've checked out years ago.
But exactly. It's like, yes,
And this is why we do a podcast.
Right?
Got it.
I was like, yes, it's more fun for me to think there's a world out there. Like, yeah, maybe tomorrow I'll wake up with superpowers or magical powers and my life will be much better.
Me telling my roommate that we really got to cut out the political conversation because I don't like it.
Right? It's too much, too real. It's just... Yeah, it was very, but Kenzie's like, I have such a hard time with that. She's like, I don't understand why that's interesting. Because she's like, it's fake. It's not real. And I'm like, but that's why it's better. Because the real world is depressing. And she's like, she's like, well, I'd rather watch other people having worse lives than I am. And so that I can, so it's like, where we take pleasure in like, I didn't either. I was like Schadenfreude to a whole other level, right? We're like, yeah, I want to read like the happy things. Or at least,
What you gotta understand about my sister is she's got absolutely zero respect for me or any of the things that I enjoy in this life. So if you overlap in things that you enjoy with me, she's got zero respect for you.
Oh, I already knew that. So Harry wakes up a rough mess in a large bed.
yeah, pretty much.
Been there. Done
Probably a lot.
that. So he wakes up starving. But unfortunately, all the girls have already been eaten.
And that can be taken anyway.
70s porn pic.
Yeah. And
Oh,
despite being covered in, gore and panties, he decides he's just going to emerge into the house anyways. And just thinking in your own home, if you've got family or something, Harry's lived alone for a long time, but you're going to be checking hallways and things depending on your state of undress anyways. And Harry's just like, a house filled with vampires and I'm covered in blood? Yeah, let me just walk out the door.
They're not those kind of vampires, though.
But
They don't care about the blood.
just seems a little bit like this is the place where you want to be, always looking your best and on top of your game and not at all like a victim.
See,
He
no,
hasn't had a coffee yet, though.
well, that's part right. Brain's not engaged, but also no, because this is the sex vampire house. So looking your best and being at the top of your game is going to make you prime.
You do want to be smelly.
Hopefully, covered in gore with your messed up hair and your unshaven face and your
You're right. I'm an
smells dubious, right? Like, he's like, yeah, stay away from me. You do not want to.
Luckily, smarter people than him have locked him in this room.
That's right. Yeah, even the whole, he's like, I slept out into the main room, and he's like, there wasn't a corpse in the pit or anything, but I guess that's what the driver was for. It's, like, nice to know that while you, like, passed out hardcore, it was all cleaned up already, and...
Again, it was not some bloody, violent death.
Well, that, too.
Okay? It was basically just picking up the body.
It is, and I get that.
Death by orgasm.
But like I say, right, that, it has already all been disposed of and tidied away and whatever, like...
Because isn't, like, the French call orgasm
Le petit mot?
mot? So this is, like, le grand mot?
The forever and ever, the not so petite,
He decides he's going to knock through this door using a spell, but right before he does that, like, Thomas opens up.
Yeah.
One more second, Thomas. I swear to God.
I guess it's Hulk time. And I like when we have this conversation about, like, doors and things, I swear exactly. Harry's like, I ain't gonna go for the door, because that's where it's all, like, reinforced and shit. I'm gonna blow out the drywall next to the door. Because that's way easier.
The Wraiths have enough money to remodel anyway, so I don't even feel bad.
No, he wouldn't for 1 second. But yeah, that's what he says. He basically lines up and takes aim right next to it. It's like, we've been there, we've had this discussion,
Forget about what's more not reinforced. He's just a dick. He's so easy to reinstall a door, but no, put a giant hole in the wall.
Maybe it's
Hopefully this isn't load supporting. Fuck it.
Oh, I'm sorry, you want me to lock in? Let me just see if I can make the biggest mess possible.
Don't worry about that foundation.
That's the thing. In another universe, he's locked in this room and just decides to go tornado and just upends all the furniture and destroys everything that way. Fuck you guys. Make your life harder. Just fuck you.
But I don't, okay, but how does he know this? So he's been locked in. He doesn't mention making note of this when he was on the other side of the door, bringing Thomas in. But he's like, I opened the door to leave, but it was locked. I checked, but it was using at least a pair of key-only padlocks and maybe some kind of emergency bolt as well. There's no way. If it's a key-only padlock, this shit ain't locked from the inside. So how would he know it's a key-only padlock if it's on the outside of the door? It says nothing about having a peephole. It says nothing about having a window in this door. It says nothing about him noticing this.
Aren't there ones that, like, have, like, the key on both sides? Like,
but that wouldn't be a padlock. That's a deadbolt. Like, and he says some kind of emergency bolt as well, which I feel is more like your deadbolt type. But I have never heard that called a padlock. To me, a padlock is a padlock is a padlock. Which means this thing has to be locked from the outside with a padlock. So how the fuck does Harry know there's like 2 fucking padlocks on the outside of the door?
Well, unless you could just open it slightly and like feel the jangle of it, catching on the padlock.
Maybe, but I dispute this because the emergency bolt, whether you take it as like a bolt or like a dead
would mean
bolt,
no jingling open the door.
Would mean it can't crack. And if you could crack it open enough to see that, you could get something leveraged in there to rip him off. So I feel like, I'm like, wait a minute. What?
maybe saw
He
it on the way
must have
in.
noticed it last night and thought, that's not important.
Yeah. Should have thought about that on the way in while I was trying to rescue Thomas.
Yeah, I don't know. Just, again, one of those things that's not...
I didn't think about that when I ran it.
Yeah, makes you wonder.
So Thomas actually does manage to enter the room before Harry blasts any holes anywhere and draws more attention, which is for the best.
Is it, though?
Yes, because Thomas has brought him clothes, which is very nice.
Is it, though?
Now he can get dressed and be clean.
Yeah. He doesn't seem so happy to see Thomas, though.
How do you know?
Why?
I know, because like you
They're
say,
friends.
Thomas is like, here, I brought you. And he's like, how's Justine? Couldn't it hurt him more if he'd like kicked him in the face?
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Right now I'm still angry.
Should have let him get rid of some of that energy in the drywall, Thomas.
Right? Yeah, you might have been better off if you let him smash through a few walls first. And so, of course, Thomas has nothing to say.
Well,
So Harry's all like, yeah, that's what I thought, bitch. Move.
Harry's like, I'm gonna go clean up at home. I don't want to be anywhere near you guys. I'm disgusted by you all. This is such bullshit. And Thomas is like,
It's quite the tantrum, really. Like,
totally. Just a child.
I'm taking my toys and going home.
But partially justified too, considering, I'm like, again, this is a little bit worse than just like, you ate all the bagels at breakfast and didn't leave me any. You fucking killed someone. Someone that I knew and was sort of friends with, and someone that was really important to you and you claimed to love, and you just ate them all up. But yeah, Thomas is all like, I tried to stop. I didn't want to.
Didn't wanna. Also, the black vampires are still running out there, so you should maybe stay here while you've still got 24 hours of protection.
Thomas is also very honest about and like he does say in this passage how he's always been honest about what he is and what his relationship is.
And again, I feel total justification. This is totally him trying to rationalize and make himself feel better.
Totally.
Right, because he's like, I never pretended to be anything I wasn't. But at the same time, it's like, because literally the sentence before, you were like, I tried to stop. I didn't want to do it,
I mean, the mere fact that Thomas was unwilling to give up his food to Bianca.
Well,
this whole rivalry between him and Bianca is because they both thought she was such a prize and they both wanted her, but Thomas won Justine. If Justine really didn't matter that much, and there's a certain...
Yeah, he totally would have sold her out to save his own ass from that party.
Right? And yeah, certainly you can have an air of just like, oh, you wanted it, but I got it first, sucks to be you, that kind of rivalry.
Yeah.
But when it started to be a threat to his life, you think then if it was just food, it'd be like, damn, I didn't feel you wanted that bad.
Yeah.
God.
5 means that much, you just take it.
Right?
Yeah.
So we know that Thomas obviously has big feelings for Justine.
Yeah. Which, again, still okay that I sacrificed your girlfriend to save mine. Believe that because, Susan's not, like, dead.
It's fair now. They both lost their girlfriends now.
Yeah, now, but...
Now they're on even footing again, okay?
Yeah, so tries to be like, I never claimed to be anything different than a predator. I never told you anything different. I never told her anything different. She knew she was food, and it's like, And then Harry's got to twist the knife just a tiny bit more and being like, oh yeah? Well, just before she went to you, you know what she told me to tell you? That she loved you. How does that feel? How do you like that? No. Bye. And stops that.
He's a dick.
He's
being really hard.
And then Thomas is like, okay, but wait, I need to talk to you. Yeah, make an appointment. Goes to storm out, like, okay, like, the vamps are still gonna be around, it's not done yet, stick around, or whatever, right? And he's like, do you mind if I tell you a few things? And he's like, yeah, I do. And yeah, that's the point where exactly he stomps out, starts slamming doors up and down the hall to this room and that, and then he's like, okay, maybe now I'm being a little bit childish.
Eventually decides he'll take a shower and see if that helps calm him down.
A broiling shower.
Nice.
That is one thing, I may envy a lot of things about Harry's life, his cool black duster, his phenomenal cosmic powers, even with his itty-bitty living space. Cold showers is not one of the things I envy in his life.
That's the one for me. I can feel the relief here. This, I would feel like it was a special day for me. The premonition of just getting a hot
Now
shower.
it makes sense.
That might have clicked for me. Because
Wait.
as someone who cannot create their own body heat and literally goes home and turns on a space heater and a heated blanket and like sweatpants and socks
In July.
every day of the year. I could not deal
For
with
our
the
next
cold shower every
Patreon
day.
drive, please send Jessica some blood.
Yeah, please, desperately.
She is not a vampire. I repeat, she is not a vampire.
I don't know. She keeps telling me they haven't diagnosed what's wrong with her. All I know is she's really pale.
So no onions on my
Avoids-
burger. Wait, that's garlic. Fuck, onions are still okay. No garlic.
No
in my
wonder.
pasta.
That's why she's like, I've been screwing it up this whole time. I keep consuming garlic and not onions and wondering why I feel like crap.
I always thought I took hot showers, but it turns out I take cold showers and didn't know. Like, feels hot.
Yeah, some people, you're hot.
No
as
way.
others.
I'm like 2nd-degree burns every time I take a shower.
Ugh, don't like at all.
And then being forced to rely on just a wood-burning fire to get warm too.
Yeah.
That's not an efficient way of warming up. You can't control the flame.
You can never be living off the grid ever. You just
No,
never
God, no.
choose that life.
I would never choose that anyways. I'll die without the internet. I don't care. People say all the time, like, oh, you millennials are so... Yeah, I am. My phone is everything on it. I could exist without anything else. All emails and phones and Facebook and books and TV. It's all on my phone. I need it desperately.
It's fair.
And then, 1,000 outlets to plug in my 1,000 heated blankets.
Right.
Yeah, that too. That'll be the next thing when your phone can start actually like.
Older phones can do that, you know? Just use them straight for an hour.
Jessica has never returned any of her old phones. That's why she hates the new, like turn it in for cash program. She's like, no, all of these old phones are what's lining
Yeah, they heat me up.
the bottom of my
They're
bed.
like that hot brick in the...
Yeah, I said them all plugged in under that first thin layer of mattress there.
Apparently Thomas has given Harry jeans and an enormous orange and blue Hawaiian shirt to wear. I love this imagery of him wearing this shirt.
Eventually, it takes him a really long time before he's willing to wear that.
If Harry doesn't wear one goofy outfit a book, it's not the Dresden Files.
What? Yeah.
What is Thomas doing with a Hawaiian shirt in the first place is when I'm like,
Okay.
why? Would you wear that, Thomas?
Someone they ate wore it.
I was gonna say, I think they make that point where he's like, there wasn't any underwear included, which I was grateful for because I didn't want to wear hand-me-down underwear. I think these are all exactly kind of like all that weird laundry Bianca had in her place.
Right.
You know, his yellow ducky boxers and things like that. These are just, although kind of makes
The
you wonder-
last time a 76 room was used, this shirt was.
at the height of
Very
fashion.
trendy.
What makes you wonder, like, I get you guys all have these big giant rich mansions, but is this like some kind of weird trophy thing, or are you guys just weird hoarders? Like, why do you have all of these you keep it from every single person you...
I agree.
That would be like having every McDonald's wrapper you've ever, like, do you not throw it, you know? or is this the equivalent of my oldest brother's candy wrapper collection, which may still exist for all I know. I
That's
swear he's quirky, but he's... Okay, but he was the one also that can't, don't like rip the wrapping paper off. He was the one you'd be like, can you just fucking open your present already? Because you'd have to meticulously and carefully unwrap and keep all of his wrapping paper like pristine and like... I mean, half of it I think was to piss us off. But then he would
Obviously.
then like fold it neatly.
I don't
But
know,
he
that
did.
sounds
He
like
had
a-
like, I don't know when or how this...
A string of mental health things going on in your family. Both of you.
Have we not discussed this in like virtually every episode? Or is this news to you? What are you, like, Harry? You're suddenly just realizing that you're famous? Like, yeah, our family has problems. A lot of them. And this particular brother...
Keep me out of it.
Oh, shut up. You keep trying, but you're fooling nobody.
Excuse me. Because I don't
They
care
just
anymore.
keep every single piece of clothing.
Yes, you would think that rich people would just have more of the Gap just ready to go in all their cupboards. Just a lot of generic jeans and sweaters and be done with it. Not all these random assortments that people have just worn into their building and never worn out again.
I guess, but it's not so much that. It's just, again, like, how much? Like, again, you've got stuff that it just feels like...
Right, but those celebrity house tour videos or whatever, right? And, like, they don't read those books. They hired somebody to come in and make an artful display of books in their house,
Yeah.
right? But they didn't buy those clothes or those furniture. They just hired an interior decorator to be like, yeah, here's some blue and some green and some red. Now you're done. You'd think that's what these rich vampires would do as well. Having this weird kooky clothing is just weird.
Okay, but...
Thomas basically was like, oh, this guy's like 40 feet in the air. Let me find the largest shirt I can find.
Yeah, but I was going to say, they're going to dress themselves for themselves, and they're not expecting most of their food to leave all that often. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe
but they should
take-
have stylish clothes for themselves, is what
Yeah,
I'm
but that's what I mean, is
saying.
they're going to have their own stuff that fits them and that they like. We've seen Thomas's fashion sense. But just of all the random things he could keep, he managed to keep this hideous Hawaiian shirt and not, so I don't know.
He knew at some point Harry was going to be over. He's like,
Yeah,
I'm going
I
to give
just
him this.
wait. I
He
just-
saw it so
Yeah.
ugly.
He saw it at Walmart and was like, I'm going to buy this right now. So that when Harry comes to my house one day, I'll be ready.
Even if he didn't come all bloodied and beat up, he's like, I'm just going to steal his clothes and hide them on him. And
Not
then...
how managed, yeah.
So while Dresden is getting ready, he's surprised to see Inari standing behind him. He's holding the puppy. It's the... Because apparently the little vampire detector was running around and being disruptive.
Yeah, poor little thing would have been going off anyways. Inari once again has found the puppy.
I didn't, but her eyes are oddly and unnervingly distant for some reason.
And I'm blank.
And she's kind of being a creep.
I'm being a creep.
Ooh, I never noticed you had such nice muscles. Ooh.
Harry noticed when he met Lord Raith that his eyes were wrong. And now Inari's starting to bleed into that territory too.
I don't think that's the same thing, though, because he's already been around Thomas. He knows Thomas's eyes shift with, and the whole thing with Lara, her eyes were shifting back and forth between. So I don't think that's it, because that comment when they're walking and he's like, oh yeah, he seems really pleasant. Or she's...
But the eyes are hard.
Yeah, but no, that was it. He says whatever, and Lara's like, yeah, he was really quite pleasant. He's like, except the eyes. She's like, oh, you noticed that. I don't think it has anything to do with the same shifting that Inaris are doing.
No, but I think it is still a family trait of the Wraiths. Their eyes are expressive. They're very much a part of the whole predator hunger.
Yeah, I guess.
you,
I
I'm watching
just feel
you.
this is the more obvious because their eyes are like the bleaching out. I guess more just like you say, the vampire thing as opposed to the personality stuff scheming. But yeah, her eyes are going all blank and pale.
She's come to thank Harry for saving her life, which is fair. He did.
Eventually.
After you bunked him in the head.
Yeah. After I thought you were trying to kill me first. Although he sort of almost kind of did because he didn't know it was her.
He did try to shoot her.
He did, yeah. But then
Mistakes were made.
mistakes were made, so I guess they're kind of even on that score. I tried to shoot at you, you smacked me over the head and broke my blasting rod, and then we all figured out, oh, we're on the same team, let's save each other.
Seems like most of the house hasn't slept at this point, because before Lord Raith left, he told Thomas and Laura to report to him at dawn. And if the black vampires are still a problem, then it's clearly not dawn yet. So most of the householders was like, do all of our stuff, continue with our night. Harry's only been asleep for who knows how many hours.
Well, he says a few hours, because I think he says it.
After midnight, but before dawn. But this is also somewhere around October.
Yeah, he says there's light coming into the room from beneath a curtain, but it wasn't enough to see more than vague outlines. That was when he woke up in Thomas's room, so it's starting to lighten up, but maybe not quite full. And he says something like he had a few hours of sleep or something, because then he's going to cut out. So they probably all did a little bit, because he probably passed out after sucking Justine dry. And again, I feel like aside from the eating, Thomas probably would need like a little bit of sleep to bounce back.
It still can't have been, a full night's rest for anyone.
No, it's definitely not been like a full.
Everyone's feeling it. They've all been sort of hurt in some fashion.
Yeah.
Harry starts getting these thoughts, having ideas. Ideas that I'm sure are quite common in this house.
And suddenly, Harry finds himself in Inari's embrace and unable to fight off the advances.
Some extremely vivid images turn into some extremely vivid kissing.
Yeah. Kind of tries. I mean, for a bit, he's sort of like, this is bad, this is wrong, I shouldn't. But yeah, those thoughts just stay thoughts. He does not manage.
And it keeps going on until suddenly she's burnt by something and is kind of shocked back to reality. Thomas comes in and consoles her as she starts to freak out.
So, right. They're kissing, and then suddenly she gets burned.
Yeah.
But kissing for a while?
This is right.
That's the part that's weird to me. Shouldn't the burn have happened immediately?
It seems to have taken a while for it to kick in. Because you're right. They do a little kissing, and then they get some more like hot and heavy kissing, and then she's moving down the kisses all along like his neck and chest, and then suddenly she's, oh wait, shit.
Well, maybe she doesn't start feeding quite right away, and that's when she starts initializing it, and then...
Maybe,
and
the
then-
vampire is still trying to work its way into her.
She's new.
Maybe
She's never done this, not fully awakened yet. I could buy that then.
I could buy that, because I was,
This should have been initial.
So yeah, Laura had to just pick up the wrong wedding ring, and it, so that was always my thing too. I was like, how did she? But that theory might be that the hunger, the demon
Still
is just
manifesting in
awakening.
Inari.
Yeah, it didn't come up right away, so it was just kind of like regular human. And then when it started to
When it becomes more one in the same.
when that came to the surface, that's when it was obviously so. Okay, all right, I'll buy that. Theory,
I'm okay
'cause,
with that.
Yeah, I had the same question. I was like,
There's still kind of two entities. I suppose,
yeah. Okay,
It's more the first feeding where the bonding happens, the binding.
the bonding.
Since
the
it has not
whole-
happened, there is, like you said, a little bit of two entities.
And at first I thought she had like burnt herself on his
Amulet?
Yeah.
Right, so Thomas enters the scene and basically gives us the rundown that vampires cannot feed on people who are in love.
Love will save the day.
They-
Meanwhile, his little puppy has been growling the whole time. Harry's like, wow, pretty. I shouldn't do this, but wow, pretty. And the dog is like, excuse me. Hello? Dude.
Hard to get attention when you're small and in the
Oh,
pocket.
like, right? It's
Just because I'm a puppy, nobody listens to me. Doesn't mean I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's why Clifford decided to grow 400 feet taller.
also because of love.
Also because of love. Yes, good point, yeah. The Grinch and Clifford, man.
Man, good thing Harry doesn't love this dog.
Well, and he also like gives a bit of a history on their family dynamics, which is just an awful.
There's a lot here in this chapter.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, sends Inari off because she's all, what the fuck is happening? Again, everything in the last 24 to 48 hours for this poor girl.
It's 12 hours.
12 hours, whatever it's been, yeah. But yeah, Thomas is like, just go to my room and go sleep in there.
Go
She's
away,
like,
Inari. Just
okay.
go away.
Yeah, and now he can, because again, he's not allowed to tell her any of this stuff.
Right. So Thomas like explains how he can still save her,
Yeah.
because if she falls in love and is loved back, the power of love.
The stakes and holy water of the White Court is as follows.
Essentially speaking, because they are feeding off of the life force.
Life force, psychic
And
energy,
love, as Thomas puts it, but really just
emotions.
having sex creates a new soul. The power, the act of creating a baby creates a soul, and that is the whole big thing that the vampires are trying to feed off of. However, when it's touched by love, it's too pure for them. It's not tainted enough. They can't steal it for themselves, essentially.
Yeah.
It is outside of their...
They more feed off lust than anything.
Their garlic and holy water is exactly. This is the one thing that is anathema to them, because exactly they're gonna, again, lure you in with because again, the rational mind can be blah 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 blah, but you get somebody's lust and hormones and whatever, right? But exactly, if you're in love with somebody, that's the whole point. Is like you can't be tempted to those things. You can't be unfaithful. You can't be So exactly, all those things that they would normally use to manipulate you and draw you in don't work.
So learning about that love is toxic to the White Court vampires, like my first question is how the hell did Thomas was able to even feed off of Justine because she loves him? Like,
right?
Wouldn't that be already a poison to him? Like,
you would
you
think.
love me. Fuck. I gotta go.
Partially is that it has to be loved and love in return. It's not enough for just Justine to love Thomas. Thomas has to love Justine. And we will learn later in the books there are consequences.
Yeah.
Which I haven't read on to yet.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so we
I can't really tell you because...
No, yeah.
It's all good. I know there's going to be some kind of resolution here because I do know there's going to be a spoiler. Like, well,
yes.
there's parts that I do kind of remember, and now
some big unanswered questions
Right.
still to this day.
I'm like, oh yeah.
But yeah, to kind of just back up to that initial sort of, is it does raise a very interesting point of what the fuck is going on with Justine and Thomas's relationship, right? And is it just an outside? Because I think it's hard to really remember back to when I first, but again, right? You're like, well, is this just because Harry is protected by a different love with someone else? But is it because like Thomas and Justine love each other? So it's part and parcel of the whole? But if either one of them, like if
Well, it gives
Justine
the
had-
impression that white vampires cannot love at all, completely incapable of it, because, as you said, that's the anathema to them. Too toxic. They can't participate in it at all.
But I don't know.
And then on top of that,
Curiouser.
we get the Raith family dynamics in which...
Which is so gross.
So gross. So it is basically the policy that none of Raith's children are allowed to know that they're vampires until the first time they have sex and the vampire comes out and...
They killed their lover.
At which
Wow.
point it's too late for them.
Talk about your first crush gone bad, right? So let's just start the mental fuck up right off the bat.
They're supposed to be raised as though everything is normal and fine. They've
Normal
got zero
human-
idea about the supernatural. They don't know that their family is one of the most powerful families in the
No
world.
idea that my big sister is my 300-year-old big sister.
Has no clue. And that puts a huge target on the Wraith children, because if you are going around not knowing that vampires exist, but vampires know you exist,
Oh, like, I don't know, last night, say? Oh, gee, we've got 3 of the whites here. And Inari's like, say what?
and it just seems that Lord Wraith is, well, if you don't live that long, then I didn't want you anyways.
Well, yeah,
Wraith
no, again, offspring in the wild. Once the fish spawn, and by the time those eggs hatch, those fish are a million miles away, and it's like, as soon as that hatches, or the turtles, it's like, mama turtles come and lay their eggs, and then they leave.
So the
And
baby
whichever
turtles
of
to
you
find
make
the
it off the beach, good luck, you maybe made it. If not, oh well, right? And yeah, exactly like that. He's like, no. For all he makes it sound like he loves his kid and it's all about family. But yeah, he's literally like, well, if you can't figure this shit out for your own without being told anything about anything, then you deserve to die. It's pretty harsh, because it's like, you exactly set them up against enemies they don't know that they have.
I think it's kind of a manipulation, though. Like, it ensures,
Yeah.
like it ensures that they become the vampire side by not telling them, because
They have
they're not going into they're coming of age. They've got hormones going on, and then this extra desire that they can't control.
It's gonna happen
They're
no
not
matter
thinking,
what.
They're not thinking, oh, I need to fall in love first.
Exactly. Yeah.
Gotta hold back for marriage. No.
Yeah, no, everything. That's the thing, is everything about their lives is complete and total manipulation.
Just set up to fail in that regard.
Well, on top of that, once they've done that first kill and they're already freaked out and hurt from that experience, that's when Raith moves in and does his own hands-on.
Psychic bullying and
And essentially you come to find out that he controls his children by basically...
yeah, mentally, physically, he just rapes the crap out of all of them.
Which we get into next chapter.
So essentially between this whole Dad basically was trying to break the 24 hours protection by sending Inari after you because, oops, how was she supposed to know? She didn't even know she was a vampire.
She
was
didn't
just
know. I
attracted
couldn't
to her
control
savior.
her. She was just a young one that couldn't control herself.
No one
Accidents
could have
happen.
said
Yeah.
that. This is when Harry decides to start forgiving Thomas a little bit because, ooh, you're all a little bit fucked up. And then you get the added on part here when Harry's like, both Laura and your dad knew that Justy was here waiting for you, and they purposely did not send that scullery maid to your room.
Yeah.
Or whatever random brothel harem thing you guys were suggesting last episode. That even if they had one, they still purposely chose the
For
room that
whatever
had
reason,
Justine.
They wanted Justine out of the picture.
Which, again, makes complete sense for the vampires. Thomas is way too attached to his food.
Yeah.
Let's get over this.
Right?
It would ensure that he doesn't have a regular food supply as he normally does.
Yes and no.
If she's gone, he has to work a little bit harder because he doesn't have somebody that's always there at his needs.
That makes sense, but a normal vampire shouldn't need to have a regular supply. You can go out and get anyone you want easily. That's the whole point of being able to just, the sinning, tempt anyone
Lure
to the
them
dark
in, is
side.
that- yeah.
He prefers Justine, but he certainly can sleep with other people and get life force from them too. Justine is just his favorite. Air quote, air quote.
Yeah. But
But I don't think it'd be that difficult. If Thomas really was starving, he could easily go out and get anyone he wanted.
yeah. And they talk to you like it doesn't always have to be a big same thing. Somewhere, somehow, they talk about, snacking or taking a little bit or, you know what I mean?
Any
So, like,
emotional transference.
yeah, right. So, I mean, again, even if he's just having a chit chat with somebody or whatever, they can always take, the teeniest amount here or there. I suppose would be the equivalent of popping a handful of chips or something like that. It's not really sustaining you and it's not really, but it'll take the edge off or keep you going or whatever, right? But yeah, and then they cover the whole, well, even with, because Harry starts trying to ask more questions about what exactly went on with Inari there and how the whole, right? And as Thomas is trying to explain it, and he's like, I don't want to get too personal, but he's like, but who was the last person you were with? And he's like, you, during this walk?
There's an idiot.
And Thomas is like, yeah, no, the biblical sense? So yeah, and then we find out as students. So it's kind of interesting that it's even after all this time, because I believe it was at the start of book 4 that Susan had been gone for a year already at that point, right? So it's a couple of years or a year and a half.
It's been 18 months since the end of the last book.
At 18 months, that exactly.
It has been about 18 months since Harry was last with anyone who was Susan.
Who was Susan?
Who he was in love with.
And apparently, yeah, still in love enough with each other and reciprocal enough, which at least has got to make Harry feel the teensiest bit good that way. That even
Susan
though
still loves me.
Exactly right. Even if he had any doubt, even though she, didn't want or wouldn't marry him or wouldn't stay around, right?
To love.
Now at least you can be like, okay, well, she really didn't have a thing for Martin. She obviously still really loved me, and I still really loved her because I suddenly have this magical love protection.
And on top of
Thank
Harry
God.
not going after some sort of rebound just to try and get over it too, is that that protection still manages to be strong enough to be laid on his soul or body or however that works.
It's still exactly hasn't just faded away or disappeared.
So in part, Susan rejecting him has actually made him more susceptible to the White Court now because, the longer that love gets frayed and starts to fade away and goes neutral and he's not falling in love anywhere else.
Inert. Yeah.
He's going to become
less protected.
more susceptible to them. And if he keeps working with them, that's going to be a problem, boy.
Right.
Thanks a lot, Susan.
Except he just wants to get this over and done. He wants nothing more to do with these white fuckers. He's like, forget this shit. I'm out. But yeah, to discover that that's where he still got his things and this whole mingling of life force and blah, blah, blah.
And if Thomas wasn't enough of a hippie already, in his 70s room and his 70s outfits he's got laying around, and he's got all this thoughts on love and intimacy and
Dinosaurs.
yes.
Love killed the dinosaurs, man.
Pretty sure that was a meteor.
Yeah, no, because mammals have gushy, fuzzy feelings.
They'll do anything to save something they love.
They protect their offspring.
Lizards don't give a shit about anybody.
They just
Now this
spawn and move on.
whole thing Thomas goes into is is a real theory that has gone around about how love does make or break evolution in the chain of why humans got to be on top, right? That's not just Thomas or Butcher talking shit. That's a real theory that's out there. Part of what made human be the number one is that we were willing to take care of each other when we got hurt and sick. Rather than just abandoning each other. We were like, oh, you need to be in this one spot healing for 2 weeks. We'll bring you food while you sit here. We'll protect you from dangers that come while you sit here.
The first sign of civilization was not like groupings of people, but like the first
a healed femur.
Mm-hmm.
It's fair enough. I guess I could see where Thomas is coming about how there was no way, whatever he says, dinosaurs and lizards and things were going to get in there. But I question about whether or not he's putting vampires on the lizard side or the mammal side then, because in this scenario, vampires would have to be the lizard side of things because they have to be incapable of love or it will kill them. They have to stay away from it. They can't participate in it. And yet, as we'll clearly see, the vampires are totally big on, they get into relationships and they get married and they have favorite foods and they fight over lovers or...
But is it all superficial?
Maybe so, but it still seems to be a little bit more...
Nature versus nurture, how much of this is Lord Raith trying to like beat,
It's hard to say, it just
kindness
seems...
and love out of them anyway?
Maybe there's some of that too, yeah. He's just gonna make sure his children are incapable of love one way or the other.
Yeah, right.
Clearly they are capable of love because the whole reason that Thomas wants Harry's help is that if Inari can fall in love and her first time is with someone who she loves and who loves her back, the vampire will not work.
Kill that fledgling hunger before it can
develop,
take root.
And then she's free. Not free if she stays with Bobby for the rest of her life, but just free at all. Just as long as the very first time is with someone who you love and loves you in return.
Yeah, even if you eventually move on and grow away from that.
That little parasitic companion will never sink its claws in.
Squashed that in the first place and prevented that from ever.
And that's a crazy idea, that is just all it takes to... No one's really falling in love at 16 or whatever the fuck. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I don't know how fucking old Inari is.
I think at least like
21.
19-ish or something, because Laura does say that she's old enough to act. Mm-hmm. Not that she should, but yeah, so Harry pegs her as looking like 19-ish, so I think...
Obviously, that's a little young for falling in love.
For true love,
True love.
But again, for her...
But not impossible.
Yeah, but for her concept and idea of it, and for Bobby's concept and idea of it, exactly, right? Yeah, we all look back and be like, okay, did we really love our... But when we were 16 and had that first boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, we totally thought we were in love, and we totally thought we'd do anything for them, and truth is your own perception, and whatever. So yes.
And then, obviously, the Bible quote, love is patient, love is kind, love always forgives, trust, supports, and endures. Love never fails. When every star in the heavens grows cold, and when silence lies once more in the face of the deep, 3 things will endure: faith, hope, and love. The 3 swords of the cross, 3 pertinent ideas in the Bible, and apparently something that Lord Raith has the kids remember forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's their, like, boogeyman. That's their...
Pocket full of posies.
Yeah.
It's really just a rhyme about death.
Yeah, exactly, But yeah, whatever little things we tell our kids to not...
But how do you explain to the children, memorize this Bible verse for the rest of your life before they know about vampires and that love will always kill them? Because essentially, if they have to, like, memorize this as children, then that means Inari's already got this memorized too, and she just thinks her dad is obsessed with the Bible. It's just like, I didn't want
just
to
this one.
memorize this one.
But this is where more of that manipulation and twisting and everything, because exactly, you can be taught and think like, oh wow, my family, like family is everything. Love will overcome everything. Our family sticks together through thick and thin. Love is the most important thing, right? And then he suddenly
up where we belong.
Moulin
Rouge is just invading my head this whole episode.
I love Moulin Rouge.
So many songs that, yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but
No.
Everything you guys are saying is like,
Trust me, there's already been like a million. If I knew better lyrics or how to sing, I'm sure I would have gone off 100 times by now too. But yeah, exactly, that you get all this, and then you like that first time that you think you're just like, oh, da-da-da-da-da-da, and then you've killed somebody, and then whatever, and then you discover like this deeper... I mean, literally it is like finding out, like as a kid, your whole life, you go like ring around the rosy, pocket full of posies, and you think it's this fun little game, and it's so cool, and then eventually you reach a point in your, teens or adulthood where somebody's like, yeah, you know this about the Black Plague and everybody dying, you suddenly go, what the fuck? It's like exactly like that. I always thought it meant this, or I never really thought about what it meant. And all of a sudden you find out that, and it just like flips your whole, what? That's so messed up. And yeah,
I've been misreading this forever.
Yeah, and I think again, that's literally right. So yeah, we're not going to tell our kids. We're like, yeah, they're goofy little rhymes that it's fun to sing. You do a little dance, and everybody
Childhood ruined.
Yeah, until eventually that day when you discover that like nothing from your childhood is as what you thought. Santa and the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy and all kinds of whatever, right? So yeah, I think that is totally that. They can just read it as whatever now.
So Dresden asks Thomas what he wanted to talk about, and Thomas tells Harry his father paints portraits of the women who bear him children, and suggests that maybe he should take a look at them.
Yeah, we're just gonna go
Part
down
of
to
your
the gallery.
investigation, let's go look at all these pictures.
It's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, what am I looking for? Just look.
So right here, the first portrait was of a tall woman in Mediterranean coloring, dressed in clothes that suggested she had lived in the 16th or 17th century.
Yes, Miss Timeline.
As we go through the rest of this chapter, I did the math and found out that Raith has only had 16 children, maximum.
Only.
For a vampire that's lived for like hundreds to thousands of years, and as we already know, a man could basically have infinite amount of children every day for his entire adult life, that seems like a really low number.
I guess.
When you're going around and your whole thing is like sex mojo all over the place and you've got only 16 kids, that seems an incredibly low number to me.
Well, doesn't even mention it in there, like,
I
Raith had done comparatively little begetting.
Yes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Is
Right.
that's actually, like, I find that to be quite strange for king of the sex vampires to have maximum 16 children. And we really only know about 7 of them.
But I guess, okay, so here's the thing. I mean, yeah, if you're going to live for 1,000 years, do you want like 6,000 children? I mean, there's that, you know what I mean? Like, again, and for the time that he takes, like, again, if you've got all this time and whatever, you don't need to rush around having all kinds of... And then as we learn further about his I mean, again, he's all about manipulation and control. How's he going to control 6,000 kids? There's no way he's going to retain power over that. He keeps a select few that he can keep under his... Because that's Laura's whole point with Thomas.
He's keeping
like,
power over all of the White Court vampires. Who cares if half of them are his kids?
Yeah, but again, I think there's a difference between, like, again, it's harder to hide the shit that goes on in your own, you know what I mean? Like, familiarity breeds contempt and all that kind of stuff, right? They don't know, right? They've got stories and rumors, so same thing, you know?
It affords him a measure of control.
I do get that. And
Yeah, the other factions are just going to be like, I don't know exactly what he can do to me,
the
right?
less race there are, the less people can marry into our family or whatever bullshit too, sort of thing. I just still feel like 16 is an incredibly low number. Especially because, and I don't think this is a big spoiler, as we go to find out that Raith generally kills his sons and only keeps the daughters around because he doesn't want to sleep with the sons and mind control them, but he's totally okay to do it to the daughters.
Yeah, he doesn't go that way. He's not as into the boys, so, but yeah.
And he doesn't want any boys to overthrow him, and the girls would never even bother to try because he mind manipulates and controls them all down.
Biggest,
He's got low motility.
Well, I mean, right, makes you wonder, does he have complete control over that? Or does he have, you know, again, is he just got to be, like, with all of their draining life power, you know, does he have control over whether or not he's fertile at the time when he, you know, or is it just, again, he's had to be really careful for 500
Or he just doesn't
years.
care.
Supernatural condom.
Or maybe he just
But okay.
has killed all but 16 women long enough for them to get pregnant.
Well, that's you. So, okay, so let's go back.
You're pregnant.
So 16th,
You're dead.
Yeah.
you say 16th or 17th. So, okay, so let's even say 16th, and we're now on the 21st. So that's 5 centuries, if I am correct. So I don't know that he's lived thousands of years. I'll say probably 500-ish, maybe 600-ish, because, I mean, I guess he could have been hanging around for 400 or 500 years without. But yeah.
We don't know exactly.
We don't
how
know
old is he.
exactly, but I would say, again, probably whatever, if he came into power, started having, so we'll say he's 500-ish years old or something like that. Then even then, you know, I mean, that's a couple kids every century or whatever, that's, I don't know. Like, yes, it's not,
I don't know, some humans manage to have 20 in one lifetime.
they sure do. But if they had multiple lifetimes, they wouldn't need to necessarily have them all at once or
All
all
at
that
once,
quickly,
maybe
or
not.
you know what I mean? Like, would you spread it out more? Would you? And yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, but yes, again, comparatively little, all in all.
But yes,
And
no
most
two
within-
portraits happen within 20 or 30 years of each other. So, he's, like
spread out.
2 to 3 kids a century.
Yeah, more or less. Which again would kind of tell you, I guess, if Thomas is... See, that one's kind of close together then, right? Because if Thomas is like 30-ish and Inari is like 19-ish, that's only 10 years. That's not 20 or 30.
Crazy jump.
He like suddenly went boom and was like... ooh.
Had some things he had to go test. The next to last portrait was of a woman with dark hair, dark eyes, sharp features.
Not precisely pretty, but definitely attractive in a striking, intriguing sense. And suddenly his heart starts pounding.
Just so happens it's labeled Margaret Gwendolyn Le Fay.
I recognized her. I had only one picture to remember her by, but I recognized her.
Boom. Mic drop. Lord Raith had a child with Margaret Le Fay, Harry's mother.
What?
Not your mother, Harry.
And shows him the silver pentacle necklace identical to Harry's own.
Reading this for the first time was insane.
Right.
I freaked the fuck out. I had not seen it coming whatsoever. I was totally blindsided, just not ready for it at all.
And I wish I could remember I don't remember specifically because I don't know that I did, because it was like as soon as he takes him in there, it's like, okay, well, there's something coming. But I don't remember anymore if I had any clue.
I'm not one of those readers who thinks ahead.
Yeah,
I really don't.
do.
I so rarely try to guess the ending of a book. It's got to be so obvious for me to get there.
There's no hinting at that, really, like as far as I could think of.
Well, anything for any sort of movie or book, and it's like, well, why would they even mention it? Why would they even go in this room? Like, why would they? There obviously has to be a reason that it's happening here.
Exactly, right.
But I don't try to figure it out. I'm like, whatever. I'm gonna get to that chapter, and the information will be revealed to me, and I'll just whatever. So I remember, I basically was on the last line here where I was like, oh my god, what the hell is going on? And I had to go back and reread it for a second, not necessarily trying to look for the hints, but just trying to be like, I was just reading this chapter, not a person that was about to have their mind blown. I've gotta go back and... Yes, I do remember being, I was 16 the first time I sat down to read these for real, not just listening to the audiobooks that you had playing in the car and in the background, but wanting to read for myself. Yeah. And that had definitely not stuck in my mind. I'd not been paying attention when that came up at audiobooks or anything, because there's moments throughout the books where I'm like, I remember this, I remember Mom mentioning that, I remember whatever. But this one for me, I was like, how can no one have mentioned this? This seems so relevant. His brother's a vampire.
Right. And this is funny because, like I say, I remember way back, I feel like it was on the Buffy board because I didn't read a lot of other ones, but wherever it was or on his own site. And at the time he was like, oh, who would you like to see more of? Like Murphy or like Leah or like Thomas. And it was like, oh man, so many good choices, right? Because because it was prior to this book, right? So we'd had, book 3 and book 5 and stuff like that, right? And you're like, oh, Thomas is so much fun. I would love to, you know what I mean? So it's like things like that now I go back and I was like, did you give him a bigger, kind of like Spike. I was like, did you end up getting a bigger role because the fans reacted so well? Or had you always, so when you were like, gee, who would you like to see more of? And everybody picked anybody but Thomas, would you have been like, well, that's too bad because he's about to,
It's interesting you said that because I remember during the year of Dresden in 2020 when they were building up to having peace talks come out, and who knew Battleground was also going to come out.
Right.
He had a forum on his website that was asking who would you like to see more short stories of too, and there was a poll in there.
Yeah.
But there wasn't 3 options. There was 30. It was basically every side character that had ever been in the series. I remember there were a lot of options to choose from.
I don't remember what you were, but it was kind of, interesting and funny. So I don't know, right? Because I am the type of person, I am always sort of, whether I
you and my best friend ruin every movie and TV show I've ever seen ever. You're like, the nurse is the one who did it, and we're in the first scene, and I'm like, what the fuck?
You can just tell, though, sometimes.
But I don't try to.
I know, that's what I mean, is I don't always try. But exactly. So I'm like, oh, I wish I remembered just how big a reveal this was for me at the time. If it was completely out of left field, or it's I think there's going to be something, but not necessarily that. But
I specifically own basically all of the books now that are within our family. I've got the vast majority of them are in my home, and I've got access to them all. I've taken all of Mom's collection. I've got most of my sister's collection.
Yeah,
they're all mine
She very
now.
much lives by possession is 9/10 of the law.
Yeah.
So if you ask Jessica to come over and help you pack, don't have her pack anything you might want, or that she might.
Oops, something's ended up in my car. I don't know how that happened.
Get her to pack. Get her to pack up the tins.
You mean this is an option?
I was gonna say get her because you've got a case there. I was gonna say get her to pack up the tins of cat food but not even that.
I'll get you to help me, but I'll mislabel boxes. Be like, these are really important books.
Yeah.
Why is it so light?
Jessica unpacks and it's all you're recycling from the past 3 years and your old clothes.
Yeah. The point is that I do remember that certain of these books, I'd finish them at 3 a.m. and I'd be like, knock, 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 Mom, I'm coming into your room at 3 a.m. because I need the next book now.
Yeah.
You should have left this. You should have known I would have needed the next book immediately after finishing, okay?
You should have known you were almost to the end and should have grabbed it first, but okay. I'm supposed to know at what point you're... Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, there was many times I had to go wake up Mom in the middle of the night because I was like, where do you keep book 7? Because my mom doesn't keep things organized on a shelf. She's got 2 books on this side table and 4 books under the bed and 6 books on the closet.
I have them organized at one point at least.
I have lots of things organized at points, but again, not when you've stolen like half the collection and I'm trying to hide the other half to spare it from your clutches, or I'm reading this one and somebody's borrowed that. Like,
Oh, I see.
there is a method to the madness sometimes. I have no objection to having books kept together on the shelf. However,
The hype of this book was one of the ones that I was like, well, I'm not stopping here. I gotta
go.
keep going.
But I do remember it is a little bit of the pros and cons. Because on the one hand, you're like, oh my god, what are the ramifications of this going to be? Oh my god, this is so cool. Like, this opens the door to so many Harry Thomas possibilities. But at the same time, it also slams the door shut on a whole bunch of other, like, Harry Thomas possibilities, too, that are just like...
Oh,
you
right.
know,
You're
things
sad that they couldn't be lovers because now they're brothers.
No shipping.
No shipping.
Not
Not appropriate
necessarily.
anymore.
'cause-
I was like, what are you talking about? What doors were slammed? Oh, all the people who shipped Thomas and Harry, those doors were instantly slammed.
Yeah, for all, which is not
Doesn't matter.
necessarily what I was
Fanfiction
going
doesn't
with.
care.
I know, it really doesn't, and sometimes it's hard to... But even just, like,
Supernatural.
other things.
For
Or,
sure.
He's a
The
sex
brothers.
vampire. It's fuck. There's so much.
I know, so much
Wincest?
Yeah, no. So that sums up that chapter.
Crazy.
Your mother.
Really crazy though. Really huge bombshell.
Yeah.
And I also remember being so sad because Harry's like, I've only ever had one photo of her. And the Raith is like, here's a portrait we had done of
was
her.
like,
It's hanging on the wall. It's so great. I've
Giant,
giant,
probably almost life size or what. And the other thing that's just like so much more annoying is that fucking Raith paints them themselves. Not even like he has their portraits done. Like, this motherfucker actually has like the skill and talent to do this as well.
Gotta have a hobby.
So, yeah, but it's like, wow, you've got this gorgeous painting of your mom when you've got, like, one other, but then, like, this asshole guy is, like, the one that drew it, and, just mixed emotions with everything. You just gotta taint everything, the Raith. It's just, nothing can be just pure and, like, oh, you like that picture of your mom? Yeah, I painted it after I boned her. Like, you know, so you just can't. Ugh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Oofed. Whew. Wonder what's gonna happen next chapter.
This concludes our chapter 12.14, Love Killed the Dinosaurs. Thank you for listening. You can find us online at freeflowrambling.com and McAnallys.ca. There we have links to other podcasts, social media, and other fun tidbits. Please subscribe if you like what you're hearing, and please consider supporting us through Patreon to keep the magic alive and to see more content. We are Free Flow Rambling. Found your buy it at your own risk.